Hello, greetings. Welcome to the show, Crime Talk. Today's story is twofold, which synchronizes the two cases of universe. It's a tale of India's triumphant moon landing, which we can say a reminder of the inherent risks in the space exploration. On June 27, 1967, a significant event unfolded in which John F. Kennedy Space Center in Florida was buzzing with anticipation to send man to the moon for the first time. Where, on the other hand, the US and the US were both lying to establish their dominance in space. So the mission we are talking about was Apollo 1, and total 3 astronauts were chosen for this historical journey. Those names were Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. They were going to be the first humans to set their foot on the moon. Everything was under control. Then finally, after 6 years of rigorous training, in February 1967, Apollo 1 was ready. But a month prior, on January 27, 1967, a rehearsal took place. There were some formalities to be done. So, the astronauts were sealed in the capsule that are ready for a systems check. Now, around 6:30 p.m., the 3 astronauts were seated in the capsule. The trial began, and suddenly, a report came in. The smoke was detected in the cockpit. 3 astronauts perished in a fire inside the cockpit. And the door took 90 seconds to open from the inside and 5 minutes from the outside. Smoke rose as fire engulfed the capsule. By the time help arrived, it was too late. All 3 astronauts died. Now, after this disaster, Gus Grissom's wife accused NASA of negligence. She claimed that the capsule wasn't ready for a moon mission. Also, NASA was rushing to beat the USSR in the space race. So this hassle. She alleged that it led to the death of all 3 astronauts. Instead of this, she took NASA to the court and seeking compensation, where she argued that this wasn't an accident but a murder. The agency was accused of rushing the mission, leading to the fatal accident. Now, the wife of the captain filed a lawsuit against NASA. Remarkably, this case is still ongoing, more than half a century later. Despite the tragedy, NASA continued its mission to reach the moon, exactly the 2 years after the Apollo 1 fired. Apollo 11 successfully landed on the moon. This success sparked questions and doubts, like, was the moon landing real or a cover-up for the Apollo 1 disaster? Yet, it's also shrouded in controversy and doubts. About this tragedy, some claimed that America's assertion of landing on the moon was a lie. They suggested the images were fabricated on Earth, like a Hollywood film set. The truth is out, waiting to be discovered. They also argued that preparing astronauts for a moon mission in just 2 years seems impossible. There were a book published adding fuel to the fire in 1976. Bill Kaysing, a NASA peer worker, wrote We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion swindle, which stirred up the controversy. Interestingly, suddenly a survey reveals that 5 of Americans still don't believe we've set foot on the moon. One of the main doubts revolves around the American flag, that it wasn't planted on the moon, where, on the other hand, critics point out that in photos the flag appears to ripple. They also suggested about the presence of wind, which shouldn't exist in the moon's atmosphere. So what do you think? Is the moon landing a fact or a fiction? The debate continued. The moon landing in 1969, it sparked a controversy that still persists today. The main question is, was it real or staged? The first point of contention about a flag, which appears to sway in photos, but there's no wind on the moon too. This also led to a theory about the moon landing was a Hollywood setup. Its surface was replicated, and Neil Armstrong and his colleagues were photographed in astronaut suits. Those images were presented as a proof of the moon landing. However, NASA and others have provided explanations. Initially, Armstrong's team planned to take a United Nations flag. But due to some opinions They have decided to take an American flag as they were representing the US, obviously. After that, the movement of the flag was explained too. The flag was packed tightly for the journey due to limited space. This packing could have caused the flag to appear as if it was swaying. The moon landing controversy continues to intrigue us. The debate was still rages on, as no one could change others' perception. Now, would you ever wondered about the American flag on the moon? Why it appears to be waving without wind in the space? Let's unreveal this mystery. The flag and rod were bought for around $5, 50 cents and $15, 20 respectively. They were cleverly stored in the rocket, where there was no fire. Upon reaching the moon, the astronauts found it challenging to plant the flag. They used a special pipe to secure it in the moon's surface. When unfurled, the flag appeared wavy. This was due to the way it was folded and stored. With no air on the moon, the flag maintained in its folded shape. This is reason flags seem to float from the distance. Experts and NASA explained that this was due to being twisted flag and because of the moon's gravity, which is 6 times less than Earth's. But even after this scientific affirmation, now further doubts arise from a picture of the moon, which showed the light on its surface, but the darkness behind. Some claimed this was the sky filled with clearly visible stars. But the reality is, the moon landing wasn't a lie. It's a marvel of human achievement. Ever wondered why the American flag didn't flutter on the moon? Let's understand this theory too. Actually, the moon's surface isn't soft like a sand or wet like a wet soil. Its texture is hard like a concrete road, and the astronauts' footprints formed on the moon's surface because the shoes worn by the astronauts are flat. It is different from the sandals we wear. About this, NASA and experts clarified that the moon's surface is rocky, but it's covered with a layer of dust and mud. So when an astronaut's foot touches these layers, it leaves a mark, which leaves footprint while walking. So this was the short mystery of the footprints on the moon's surface. Now, let's explore the layers that holds the secret of an astronaut's shoe mark, as we have already understand that. The moon's surface, a rocky exterior, hide layers of mud and dust. These layers capture shoe marks, that preserving them for millions of years. Here the scientists also explains that there is no air on the moon to blow away this dust. Hence, the shoe marks stay intact. Imagine the frozen footprints of Neil Armstrong. Now, some argue that humans can never land on the moon. They cite a bright light barriers between Earth and space. However, this theory has been countered. When Apollo 11 passed through this light barrier in just 5 minutes, heat exposure reduces, as per scientists' clarification, despite skepticism and evidences support the moon landing. The Apollo missions left undeniable marks on the moon's surface that were captured in an iconic images. So, it's proved that the moon hidden layers holds the dusty footprints. Did the man can land it on the moon? This question has sparked in countless debates. Let's understand what the evidence is. Firstly, the moon's surface bears witness to human presence. There are marks left by astronauts that remain visible in numerous pictures. These marks, along with planted American flag, prove the human presence. Now, let's discuss how and why. Some believe that America staged the moon landing, creating a set and filming a fake Apollo mission. But let's consider this. If America was lying, then why wouldn't other countries have exposed the truth? In the last 54 years, not a single country has disputed NASA's claim that Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon in 1969. Not even Russia or China, who have already succeeded in space exploration. If America was lying, it would have been a perfect opportunity for these countries to reveal the truth. The evidence suggests, yes, America sent 12 people on 6 missions to the moon. The silence of other countries further supports this claim. The moon landing wasn't a Hollywood set but a monumental achievement in human history. Let's talk about the moon landing conspiracy theory. As we have already discussed, that most of the people believed it was all a Hollywood setup. But let's debunk this myth. Remember, the moon's surface has no air or dust movement, and marks made there remain indefinitely. Now, numerous photos have shown that the American flags and footprints are left by the astronauts. So, these are undeniable proofs of the human presence. And yes, United Nations sent 12 people to the moon in 6 missions, which wasn't a theory, but a real fact. The idea of a Hollywood set mimicking the moon's surface is frankly nonsense. Consider this. If America was faking moon landings, wouldn't rival nations to expose the lie, countries like Russia or China, who are also racing for space dominance, would have had a lot to gain. Yet, since 1969, when Neil Armstrong put his first steps on the moon, no country has disputed America's claim. Both these nations later succeed in their own lunar missions, but never once accused America of deceit. So, the evidence is clear. The moon landing wasn't a Hollywood production, but a monumental human achievement. On the other hand, the conspiracy theory have lacked substance and credibility. So this is all for today's story. Till then, bye and take care.